Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between two Kaldheim sealed decks. Here we have deck A, which is a Rakdos deck, and over there we have deck B, which is a Boros deck. You can see links in the description box below for the pack openings and deck builds of the decks, as well as other games that we'll be playing these decks with against the challenge decks. But we are going to play the best out of three here with sideboarding, if any apply. We'll get started by rolling to see who goes first. Rakdos rolls a 6. Boros rolls a 9. Boros will opt to go first. Boros draws a Dragonkin Berserker, Forging the Tyrite Sword, Tuskeri Firewalker, Plains, Beskir Shieldmate, Battlefield Raptor, and Provoke the Trolls. This could be a strong hand, except that we only have one land, and so we're going to mulligan and go down to 6. Now Boros has a Craven Hulk, Forging the Tyrite Sword, Battlefield Raptor, Ravenwing, Snow-Covered Mountain Plains, and Dwarven Reinforcements. I think this is a reasonable first hand, and so we will keep this and we'll take the Craven Hulk and put this on the bottom. Rakdos draws a Swamp, Cinderheart Giant, Ruin of Mortality, Swamp, Mountain, Dwarven Hammer, and Turgid Shadow. This is a very slow hand, and I think that we're going to need a little bit something faster in order to win, because we're not really doing anything until turn 5. So we're going to mulligan this down to 6. Now we have a Draugr Recruiter, Hagimob, Mountain, Swamp, Burning Rune Demon, Coma's Faithful, and Swamp. This is not a great hand because of the hand doing nothing until turn 3, but I think it's a better hand, and we're going to keep this. We'll probably take the Hagimob and throw this on the bottom, because the Burning Rune Demon, even though it's a 6, is so much stronger than Hagimob that I think Hagimob deserves to just go on the bottom here. Boros will get started by playing a Plains, tapping that Plains, and casting a Battlefield Raptor. This is a 1/2 bird with flying and first strike, and then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos draws a Mountain, will play a Swamp, and Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws, gets a Demon Bolt, will play a Snow-Covered Mountain, and we will immediately go attacking with the Battlefield Raptor for 1. Rakdos has no choice but to take 1, and it goes down to 19. Boros will follow up by tapping 2, and we'll play the Demon Bolt as a Foretell. This is an instant. Demon Bolt deals 4 damage to target creature or player, and you can foretell it for red. So it is now exiled, and we can cast it for red on any future turn, and then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos draws, gets a Coma's Faithful, will play a Mountain, and then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a Snow-Covered Plains, we'll play the Snow-Covered Plains. We're going to tap all 3 of these, and then we'll play Forging the Tyrite Sword. This is a saga, and for Acts 1 and 2 creates treasure tokens, and then for Act 3 you can search your library for a card named Halvar God of Battle or an equipment card, reveal it, put it to your hand, and then shuffle your library. Go ahead and create our treasure, and then we'll go to combat and swing for 1. Rakdos takes another 1 and goes to 18. Then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos draws and gets a Cinderheart Giant. We'll play a Swamp. We'll tap 3 and we'll play Coma's Faithful. This is a 3/1 Elf Cleric with lifelink, and when it dies, each player mills 3 cards. And then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a Plains. We'll play the Plains. We are going to also bump up to 2 here, and we'll get another treasure. We're going to use a counter to track the number of treasures. We now have 6 mana. I think the Battlefield Raptor can hold off Coma's Faithful, so we'll just hold that together, and then we'll tap 4 mana and play Dwarven Reinforcements. This is a sorcery. It says create 2/1 red dwarf berserker creature tokens. It also has foretell for 1 in a red. Here are our dwarf berserkers, and now we will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws, gets a Mountain. We'll play a Mountain. We can't attack into the Battlefield Raptor because that is first strike, so instead we're going to just tap out. Try to slow down the Berserkers with a Draugr Recruiter. This is a 3/3 zombie cleric with Boast, 3 and a black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and then we are going to pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws, we get a Beskir Shieldmate, and then we're going to trigger the third part of the saga. This is going to have a search for an equipment card. We're Grabbing the gold vein pick, and putting it in our hands, we're going to shuffle. The Forging the Tyrite Sword sacrifices itself and goes to the graveyard. We're going to spend 2 mana to cast the Raven Wings. This is an equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has flying and is a bird in addition to other types, and you can equip for 2. We will go ahead and pay the 2 to equip it to one of the Dwarf Berserkers. And then we're going to swing with the 3/1 Flying Berserker. Rakdos can't block. We'll take 3 and go down to 15. Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps. Draws a swamp. We'll play the swamp. We look like we're on track to play the Burning Road Demon soon. But in the meantime, we'll spend 3 and play a second Koma's Faithful. And then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps. Draws a Gold Maw Champion. Next, we are going to tap 2 more mana to play the Gold Vein pick. This is a equipment, and an equipped creature gets +1/+1, and whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. We're going to spend another 1 to equip it to the Dwarf Berserker, making it a 4/2. We're going to go to combat and swing with the 4/2 flyer. Rakdos can't block. We'll take 4 and go to 11. Our solace will be that the Burning Room Demon can block the flyer eventually. Boros will set up to go wider by tapping 2 more mana, sacrificing 1 of the treasures, which we should have gained on hitting with the Gold Vein pick, so it'll just stay at 2. And then sacrificing 1 additional treasure on top of that to play the Gold Maw Champion. This is a 2/3 Dwarf Warrior with Boast, and for 1 and white, tap target creature. And then we are going to pass the turn. Rakdos untaps. Draws a Poison the Cup. We're going to play the Mountain, and we still don't have any ideal attacks here. And so we're just going to tap 6 mana and cast our Bomb, the Burning Ruin Demon. This is a 6/6 Demon Berserker with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for exactly 2 cards not named Burning Ruin Demon that have different names. If you do, reveal those cards. An opponent chooses one of them, put that card into your hand and the other into your graveyard, and then shuffle your library. We'll search for a couple cards here. I don't know if this is the right idea or not, but we're going to just take 2 mountains and give them to my opponent, because we will probably just lose whatever the better of the 2 things that we present to them are, and then we're not really inclined to present our stronger cards. So we'll just give them 2 mountains and then shuffle. Boros will obviously choose one of the mountains. That will go into the graveyard and the other will go into the hand. This means that the Cinderheart Giant will also be online, and that'll be a good defense. So Rakdos will then pass the turn. Boros untaps. Draws a mountain. We'll play a mountain. So we'll spend 3 mana. Move these 2 over to the Gold Maw Champion. And then we will go to combat. We'll swing with the Gold Maw Champion, which is currently a 4/4 flyer, and then we'll use the Boast ability to tap down the Burning Ruin Demon. The Burning Ruin Demon is tapped. Rakdos takes 4 and goes to 7. Boros gets another treasure token, and then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps. Draws a swamp. We're going to play a mountain. I think the Gold Maw Champion has to go because it prevents us from blocking. And so we will spend 2 mana and foretell the Poison the Cup and pass the turn. Boros untaps. Rakdos will take priority back on the end of upkeep, and Rakdos will tap a swamp and a mountain to cast Poison the Cup. This is an instant. It says destroy target creature. If this spell was foretold, scry 2, and you can foretell it for 1 and a black. Gold Maw Champion dies. Rakdos scries 2. We will leave the Dwarven Hammer on top, but we will put the Dwarven Berserker on the bottom. And Rakdos will pass priority. Boros draws, gets a Tuskeri Firewalker. Boros figures we can take a hit or 2, and so what we're going to do is spend 3 mana and equip the Battlefield Raptor with the Raven Wings and the Gold Vein pick, making it a 3/3 flying first striker, knowing that we have the Demon Bolt in our hand. And then we're going to swing at Rakdos with the Battlefield Raptor. Rakdos feels that this is an unusually aggressive attack, so they figure there must be a combat trick or removal involved, especially given the Raptor has first strike. But because they don't really want to be put in a position to lose their demon for a turn, especially when all the other creatures can attack through the air, we don't have any mana to bring it back easily. I think we're going to take this particular hit and go down to 4. Boros gets another treasure. We're going to spend 1 plains and 2 of these treasures to play a Tuskeri Firewalker. This is a 3/2 human berserker with boast. For 1, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn, and then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws a Dwarven Hammer. We'll play the Swamp here. I think we need to stay on the defensive and try to go wide. We'll spend 7 mana and cast the Cinderheart Giant. This is a 7/6 giant berserker with trample, and when it dies it deals 7 damage to a creature an opponent controls, chosen at random. This makes us feel comfortable, but we can't attack because we might lose in the air, and so we are going to just stay right here and pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a mountain. We'll play the mountain, and I think we're going to attack again with the Battlefield Raptor. This time it's too close, so Rakdos will offer the block with the Burning Rune Demon. Before first strike damage, Boros will tap 1 mountain and cast Demon Bolt and deal 4 damage to the Burning Rune Demon. Then the Raptor will deal 3 additional damage to finish off the Burning Rune Demon. Boros will spend 2 more mana and cast the Beskir Shieldmate. This is a 2/1 human warrior, and when it dies create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. And then we'll spend 3 mana to move everything over to the Tuskeri Firewalker. And Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws a Hagimob. Fortunately, we don't really have a means of defending ourselves against the flyer anymore, and so we absolutely have to attack the Draugr Recruiter. I think we are also going to attack the Koma's Faithful to gain a little bit of lifelink, and as long as we're attacking, we might as well swing with the Cinderheart Giant as well for maximum damage. So we'll swing with everybody, and then we will use the Boast ability of the Draugr Recruiter, spending 4 mana to return the Burning Rune Demon to our hand. We could take 16 damage, and then Rakdos will go back up to 10. We should be able to strike back for the win as long as they don't play a blocker. So that's the question, can they play a blocker? With 4 mana, they might be able to play a blocker, and we could see what's on the top of our deck. I think because of the Tuskeri Firewalker possibly drawing us a card that we can use to interact with our opponent's board, we are going to actually take all 16 damage and go down to 4. Rakdos gains 6 and goes up to 10. Boros' Gambit was right. Rakdos doesn't have a follow-up and will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a plains. We'll play the plains, and I think we have the win in sight, so we'll just swing with everybody for 12 damage. There's no reason to expose any more of the deck, so Boros will defeat Rakdos in the first game, and we'll be right back for sideboarding or the second game. Before game 2, Rakdos will make 1 substitution from its sideboard, trading the Tergrid Shadow for a Smashing Success. Boros clearly has a lower to the ground deck with lots of smaller creatures, so Rakdos will be at the bad end of Tergrid Shadow here. And then Smashing Success will let Rakdos deal with the equipment that Boros is using to get in there. For game 2, Rakdos will go first. Rakdos draws a Swamp, a Mountain, Craven Hulk, Breakneck Berserker, Mountain, Shackles of Treachery, and Swamp. This is a bit of a slower hand, but I think we can keep it off the Breakneck Berserker into Craven Hulk. Boros draws a Goldmaw Champion, Dwarven Reinforcements, Provoke the Trolls, Craven Hulk, Battlefield Raptor, Raven Wings, and a Plains. Again, we can't keep a 1-lander, so we are going to mulligan this. Now Boros draws a Sulphurous Mire, Axeguard Braggart, Mountain, Call the Forge Master, Craven Hulk, Battlefield Raptor, and another Mountain. This is not a very good hand as well, because we can't play anything until turn 4, because we don't have any white mana. And so I think we actually want to mulligan one more time to 5. At 5, Burrow draws Cold the Forge Master, Axe Guard Bragger, Demon Bolt, Scary Firewalker, Sulphurous Mire, Raven Wings, and Fearless Pup. I don't think that we can even keep this at 5 because with 1 land we're only going to be able to cast Fearless Pup and we don't know if we'll be able to do anything else after that. So we're going to mulligan once more down to 4. Boros draws a mountain, a plains, a snow-covered mountain, a snow-covered mountain, Shepherd of Cosmo, Axe Guard Cavalry, and a plains. This is an incredibly bad hand considering we have a 2-drop and a 6-drop and we're going to have to go down to 4. But I think we're going to have to keep it, and we'll keep a snow-covered mountain and a plains, putting the other 3 lands on the bottom. Rakdos will start with a mountain and pass the turn. Boros draws a Battle Shield Warrior, will play a plains, and will pass the turn. Rakdos draws a Hoggy Mob, will play a swamp, and Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros draws a Sulphurous Mire. We'll go ahead and play our Snow-Covered Mountain, tap both of these, and play the Axe Guard Cavalry. This is a 2/2 Dwarf Berserker, and you can tap to give target creature haste until end of turn. Then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos draws a Coma's Faithful. We'll play another Mountain. Swinging the Breakneck Berserker into that does not seem that good. So we'll tap 3 mana and play a Coma's Faithful. Then we'll pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a mountain. We'll play the mountain. We're going to tap 3 mana and play the Battle Shield Warrior. This is a 2/2 human warrior with boast and 1 and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. And then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws a Dwarven Hammer. We'll play the Swamp. We're totally okay trading the Coma's Faithful off for either of these, and so we will attack with the Coma's Faithful. Boros can't raise the Lifelinker, so we'll trade the Axe Guard Cavalry for the Coma's Faithful. The Axe Guard Cavalry dies. Coma's Faithful dies. We'll get 3 life from the Lifelink to go up to 23, and then each player will mill 3 cards. Rakdos mills a mountain, and a Rune of Mortality. Boros mills a Provoke the Trolls, a Goldmaw Champion, and a Mountain. Rakdos will follow up by tapping 4 and playing the Craven Hulk. This is a 4/4 Giant Coward, and it can't block alone. And then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a Fearjill's Retribution. We're going to play the Sulphurous Mire. This is a Snow Swamp Mountain, and it enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for black or red. Since we're not going to be blocking the Craven Hulk, and it can't block alone, we'll go ahead and swing with the Battle Shield Warrior, using the Boast ability to make it a 3/3. Rakdos takes 3 and goes to 20. Then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws a Swamp. We'll play the Swamp. I think to be mana efficient, we're going to swing with the Craven Hulk for 4. Boros takes 4 and goes to 16. Then we'll spend 5 mana to cast the Dwarven Hammer. This is an equipment and enters the battlefield. You can pay 2. If you do, create a 2/1 red dwarf berserker creature token, then attach Dwarven Hammer to it. The equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. We don't have the correct token, so we'll use the back of this as a dwarf berserker. And then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a Beskir Shieldmate. Will attack with a Battle Shield Warrior for 2. Rakdos will take 2 and go to 18. Boros will tap 2 and cast a Beskir Shieldmate. Then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws a Fearless Pup. We're going to go to combat and swing with the Dwarven Hammer wielding Berserker as well as the Craven Hulk for 9 damage. Boros will trade the Shieldmate for the Berserker and take 8 damage, going down to 8. We'll also get a 1/1 Human Warrior creature token. The Dwarf dies. Then we'll follow up by spending 5 mana and playing a Haggy Mob. This is a 5/4 Troll Berserker with Boast, 1 in a red. It deals 1 damage to any target. And then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps, draws a Raven's Wings. It's not quite what we need here. We'll spend 2 to cast a Raven's Wings. And then we'll spend another 2 to equip it to the Battle Shield Warrior, making it a 3/2, and then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps, draws a Village Rites. Alright, I think we can win without even equipping the Dwarven Hammer. So we're going to spend 3 mana, the Mountain and the 2 Swamps to cast Shackles of Treachery. This is a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature until the end of turn. It gains haste, and whenever this creature deals damage, destroy target equipment attached to it. We'll gain control of the Batter Shield Warrior. And then we're going to go to combat. We'll swing with the entire team. And then we'll spend 2 mana using the Hagimob's Boast ability to deal 1 damage to the Human Warrior. The Human Warrior dies, and Boros takes 12 damage and perishes, and we'll be back for the final game. That last game was probably one on the back of Boros' really terrible hands, but Boros will opt to go first. Boros draws a Cold the Forge Master, Plains, Snow-Covered Mountains, Dragonkin Berserker, Craven Hulk, Scary Firewalker, and Gold Mod Champion. This is admittedly a bit of a slow hand, but I think that we can keep it because it has decent potential as long as we can draw some lands here. Rakdos draws a Mountain, Swamp, Cinderheart Giant, Mountain, Craven Hulk, Infernal Pet, and Run Amok. This is not amazing, but I think it is something that we can play, so we will keep it. Boros starts with a Mountain and passes the turn. Rakdos draws a Swamp. We'll play a Swamp, and Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros draws a Battlefield Raptor. We'll play the Plains. We'll tap both of these and cast the Dragonkin Berserker. It's a 2/2 human Berserker with First Strike. Boast abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. And you can boast for 4 and a red to create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with Flying. And then we'll pass the turn. Black draws a Village Rites. We'll play a Mountain, and then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps. Draws an Axgard Braggart. We did not draw the land that we needed, but it's not the worst thing in the world. We're going to go swinging with the Dragon Berserker for 2. Rakdos takes 2 and goes to 18. Boros follows up by playing Call the Forge Master. This is a 2/2 Legendary Dwarf Warrior. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. Creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped get +1/+1, and then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos draws a Swamp. We'll play another Mountain. We're going to tap out, and we'll cast the Infernal Pet. This is a 2/2 Imp, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Infernal Pet, and it gets flying until end of turn. And then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps. Draws a Dwarven Reinforcements. That's also not ideal. We can swing with Dragonkin Berserker, so we'll do so. Rakdos takes 2 and goes to 16. Mana screwed as we are, we're going to tap 2 and then foretell the Dwarven Reinforcements, and Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps. Draws, gets a Smashing Success. We'll play a Swamp. Don't want to trade our Infernal Pet before we get any value from it, but we will spend 4 mana and play a Craven Hulk, and then Rakdos will pass the turn. Boros untaps. Draws a Sulphurous Mire. We'll go ahead and play the Sulphurous Mire. The Craven Hulk stops our attacks, and so we're going to spend 2 mana to cast the Dwarven Reinforcements. We get a couple of Berserkers. Hopefully we'll be able to start attacking soon, but for now, Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos untaps. Draws a Swamp. We'll play the Swamp. Actually, the Run Amok does give us the ability to attack successfully, but we don't have much of a defense if we do, and Boros' Swarm is kind of dangerous, so I think we have to play defense here. The other choice is we can use Smashing Success to destroy one of their lands, limiting their access to mana. But there's no certainty we're going to be able to draw out of this just yet. So we'll see what happens and pass the turn for now on defense. Boros untaps. Draws. Gets a Batter Shield Warrior. We don't have a good attack yet. But the Gold Maw Champion looks like a pretty good follow-up here. So we'll tap 3. And we'll cast the Gold Maw Champion. Well, they're playing surprisingly defensively. So I think we can afford to attack with both of the Dwarf Berserkers because we'll take out the Infernal Pet in that instance. So we'll attack with both Dwarven Berserkers. Rakdos doesn't have a way of not losing the Infernal Pet in this trade, or losing the Craven Hulk for both Dwarven Berserkers, and then the Horde will start attacking. So I think we have to take the 4 in this instance and go down to 12. Then Boros will pass the turn. Rakdos draws, gets a mountain. It's not quite what we're hoping for, but it's not the worst. Unfortunately, we're still in this defensive position because we can't play any more creatures at the moment. So we are going to pass. There's a lot of potential damage coming the other way though. I think we're gonna try to stall my opponent a little, and we will spend 4 mana. Cash Smashing Success. This is an instant. Destroy target artifact or land. If an artifact is destroyed this way, create a treasure token. We'll destroy the Sulphurous Mire. The Sulphurous Mire is destroyed. And then hopefully that'll slow down Boros enough. We'll pass the turn until we can hopefully draw something a little better. Boros untaps. Draws a Gold Maw Champion that we can't cast. But I think we have a considerable amount of capacity to do some damage here. So we're going to go to combat and swing with everything. We're going to use the Plains and Snow-Covered Mountains to activate Gold Maw Champion's ability, and we will tap down the Craven Hulk. The Craven Hulk is tapped. At this point, we are taking near lethal here, and so we're actually going to trade the Infernal Pet for Cole the Forge Master. The Infernal Pet dies. Cole dies. Rakdos still takes 8 and goes to 4. Rakdos untaps. Draws a Coma's Faithful. We'll play the Swamp. Don't think that we have any way out of this because of Craven Hulk's disability. So we'll just do what we can. We'll tap out. Cast the Cinderheart Giant again. And then pass the turn. Boros untaps. Draws. Gets a Stalwart Valkyrie. We're still short lands, but we have this in the bag thanks to the Gold Maw Champion. We'll go to combat and swing. We'll activate the Gold Maw Champion's ability to tap the Cinderheart Giant. The Cinderheart Giant is tapped. Craven Hulk cannot block any of these creatures, and so we will take another 8 damage, and Rakdos will perish. Giving the win to Boros. Somehow managed to win out of terrible mana screw, and that gives Boros the match at 2-1 against Rakdos. That is some Kaldheim sealed deck games here. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. We'll be playing these sealed decks up against the Face a Hydra challenge deck next, so keep an eye out for that in future videos. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.